How many soccer players are here? Okay, here's where we get it. So you have tournaments? Yeah. So on Saturday, maybe you play 2 or even 3 matches. And you know, you're in there and maybe you have a couple of lows and you have your Gatorade, you bring it back up. For the most part, you're staying on the field. But just the occurrence, 1, 2, or 3 low blood sugars increases your chances of having another low blood sugar the next day. Just the sheer number. And they're not even sure why that is, but the number plays into the increased chance the next day, right? So you now deal with that. Now Sunday comes and you're in the semifinals, and you know, halfway through there's a low blood sugar. Oh, no problem. I got my Gatorade. I'll drink it. Drink your Gatorade. You go back in. 10 to 15 minutes later, you're low again. You're like, wait a second. I know that I gave the correct amount of carb for that correction. Why am I going low so quickly? And maybe it's a little more severe than it was the day before. It may be, again, it's not just one factor, but it may be that what was not done on Saturday, and that was replace glycogen storage. How do you replace glycogen storage? Eat. That's all you gotta do is eat. The best combination to replace glycogen storage is 4 grams of carbs and 1 gram of protein. So when we talked in the first 5 minutes here, we said, what's the best food for exercise? And someone came up with protein. The best way to eat protein, and the best time to eat protein is afterwards. It helps to repair the rebuilding process. But guess what? It's still more carbs than protein. And what do you have to be concerned about? Your kids don't care, but you probably know a little about. What do you got to be concerned about with too much protein with diabetes?
Kidneys.
Kidneys. Over time, too much protein makes your kidneys work hard, and that may contribute. Although, guess what? There's not one study that shows that. And if anyone finds that study, please email it to me. Partly,
Is there a difference when you induce insulin receptors between aerobic exercise and anaerobic exercise? Is there a difference in pathways to inducing insulin receptors?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I do know that you do need insulin, because everyone thinks insulin is bad. It's like around exercise. No, you need insulin. Insulin's got to be there to open up the cells. You know, it has to do with how much. And the question is, you know, you have a really high blood sugar, and now all of a sudden you're dumping 5 units of insulin. What does that mean between anaerobic and aerobic? I don't know the answer to that. And where it goes in versus your stomach versus your butt versus your leg. We know that the absorption rate is the best in the stomach, but guess what? Over time, you know, if your child has a favorite infusion site area or a favorite place they like to inject themselves, that's not a good thing. You need to rotate. And rotating doesn't mean, oh, here, here, here. It doesn't mean doing this. It means 1 here, move an inch away, move an inch away, move an inch away, move an inch away. Don't worry about like where the tape is, where the mark is, just where it goes into the body. So now you're done here after 20, 22 days. Now you go over here. And then maybe you come up here and over here. And then you're not back to this one for a month and a half. That's a great way to rotate your sites. I typically now in the summertime, I use my butt. Partly it was when I was younger, and my kids would go to the pool, and I would take off my shirt, and they would see this patch. I'm like, Dad, I don't want my friends to see that. I'm like, really? So I started putting it below my bathing suit. And so now in the summertime, if I'm out, I just do that. I got a habit. So I'm like, seasonally, I'm doing it. The same thing. It's just here. Because, so I've 13 years. Talk to me when I'm 25 years into it, 30 years into it. That's when the hypertrophy builds up for people, and now you don't have good absorption, and now your blood sugars are going all over the place. So your site rotation is pretty key too.
Rick, I've got a question about your about the predicting 1 to 2 hours before. What about stress?
Yeah.
I mean, if a kid's going into a competition, he knows they're the underdog, they're going to be stressed going into the thing before the event. So how much does stress actually play into it versus exercise itself?
A lot. Absolutely a lot. That's, as I think we talked about earlier, fight or flight. Mm-hmm. And to me, personally, I know it's like my email. I'll get off here and I'll look. I'll say, oh my gosh, 170 emails. My stress level goes up. Mm-hmm. Your kids with tests, they had a test, their stress level goes up. Now they got important meat, of course stress plays a lot into it. And I don't have studies to back this up, but I do think there are certain things that you can do, iPods, meditation, visualization. So these are all stress management techniques that I don't know that you're going to get your 8-year-old to do. But if you give them an iPod, say, hey, before the meet, listen to your favorite song. It can't be the Headbangers Ball that you're going to get all pumped up. Maybe something that's going to relax them. So now instead of a 300, it's a 225. I don't think you're going to, just by practicing those things, bring it down into a normal range. But I certainly would use water a lot too. Water, if you don't believe that, just try it. When a high blood sugar comes on, and if you're using insulin or not, just sort of time it, and when it comes back into normal, check, an hour later, 2 hours later. Did it take 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours? And now do the same thing, but drink water. And I'm not, so don't be afraid. I'm not saying your 5-year-old should drink a bottle this big, but to have, 16 ounces, 16 ounces, and then time it, and we'll see how long. I'll bet you it's at least cut in half the time that it stays up there.
So are you saying that the water helps with the blood sugar, brings the blood sugar down?
Yep, absolutely. Just think about the blood being very thick right now. It's just sludge kind of moving through with the hive when you're dehydrated. And you now have a lot of glucose in there that's moving really slow, so it's in your system. Now you put water in there, and it's now moving through your system faster, and it's also getting rid of ketones. So those are two things.
So water all the time, though,
Oh,
not
yeah.
not just for.
No, not just for that, but I think it's a good indicator if you're high. And what's the best way to tell if your child's dehydrated?
Sometimes a color.
Say again?
Sometimes a color.
Color?
They say they're thirsty.
Nope, thirsty, you're too late.
Tired?
Stop. Tired's a good sign, but guess what? Now all of a sudden you're not playing.
Urine color?
Yes, urine color.
Right.
100% urine color. That's the best way. You can do it when they get up in the morning. Go say, you know what? They don't have to know. Don't flush the toilet. So, oftentimes when I do this talk, I bring apple juice and I bring lemonade and say, if your pee looks like this apple juice, it's not a good thing. Your performance is going to suffer, right? It may be the cause of a high blood sugar. If it looks like lemonade, where it's sort of a clear yellowish color, that's a good thing, right? And then I usually take a big drink of the.